Thank you, Honourable Chair, and let me first of all thank the various senior members of the South African National Defence Force that provided us with the presentations. Chair, you allowed the presentations to be brought to us one after the other, and I'm going to divide my comments and questions on the basis of the presentations as they had been given to us.
You're allowed, Honourable.
Thank you, Chair. The first presentation that we received was on HR matters, that was on the vacancies that exist in the Department of Defence. In this instance, I'm simply going to concentrate on some of the most senior vacancies that exist and have been there for quite a long time. The first one is the Secretary of Defence. We have had a vacancy for the Secretary of Defence since 2023. We had a particularly weak acting Secretary of Defence, ineffective, and I believe under the circumstances, much could have been done if there was a strong Secretary of Defence. That did not happen. Now we hear rumors that a final process is on the go for the appointment of the Secretary of Defence. In fact, some of the leakages that we have received said that there were 3 particular candidates, that one of those candidates was the preferred candidate, but there were academic qualification problems. Subsequently, we have heard that another candidate, and I'm not going to mention names in this particular input, that another candidate had been identified. Now, in the context of what we have been told, in this presentation, I hear that this particular candidate, if I understood correctly, is now ready for presentation to Cabinet and to the President.
Honourable, let's not deal with rumors, please. Let's deal with
Chair, these rumors are real and they are important for me to qualify exactly why I'm asking the question. The question that I'm asking is, are we correct to understand from this presentation that the Secretary of Defence, the nomination that has been made, is now to be presented to the President and to Cabinet? And if that is correct, what is the time frame within which the new Secretary of Defence will be appointed? It is critical that the new Secretary of Defence should be appointed as fast as possible, because there are other very important vacant posts, like the Chief of Legal Services, the Chief Audit Executing, and specifically the CFO, that have to be appointed. And it would be, I believe, the correct approach to have the newly appointed Secretary of Defence to be part of that process of appointment, because we need a strong team that will work together. Now, Chair, of course, one can raise one's eyebrows very high about the fact that the Chief Audit Executive and the Chief Legal Services, 2 very important positions, have not been appointed, to the one since 2018 and the other one even since 2010. I cannot understand how that is possible. I would like to get an answer why it took 15 years to fill the position, a critical position such as the Chief Legal Services. Let me leave that presentation, Chair, and go to the second, which was about the reserve force. I do not want to say much about it. We have been given the presentation about the 2 structures. The one is at the moment in place. The other, we are told, will soon be in place. But again, we are not given particular dates for when that is going to happen. May I urge everyone present here, sir, that we need to get the management of our reserve force right. There are serious problems. I get reports and complaints of members of the reserve force, and Chair, this is not rumors, these are facts, of how members of the reserve force are being treated. And when they try to bring their concerns to the attention of the existing structures, they have no luck. Recently in Loatla, we had members of the reserve force stranded there at that base, having been called up there, and then simply to be told that there were no finances and there was no process in place for them to undergo the training that they were supposed to have received. I received several distress calls during the night and concerns that I raised about it, and correspondence that I sent on to the South African National Defence Force about the treatment of these reserve force members was left unattended. I still wait for any response. Now let me turn to the major document that we have received today. That document deals with the restructuring and the strategic documents of the South African National Defence Force. Chair, I'm deeply disappointed. I was hopeful that today we will get a detailed report with clear deadlines, with clear indications of how this set of strategy documents will eventually, in real time, be developed and become a reality. That is not the case. The document that was presented to us today is nothing else but a content page with a short little summary, some executive summary of what the content is going to be. We have not received any of the detailed content, and therefore, because the devil is always in the detail, I cannot comment about what is being planned on the journey to greatness because we do not have that document. And at the same time, we do not have any clear promises and deadlines for when those documents will be available. Chair, I'm sure you have heard during the last couple of days the comments that have been made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi also about the dilemma in which the South African Police Service finds itself because of the lack of ability of the South African National Defence Force to carry out its duties. We do not have the luxury of time. We are in the midst of a crisis. The South African National Defence Force is collapsing. But yet, once again, we are being presented with a document that does not give us any indication of when these laudable plans, these lofty plans, these plans that are clouds up there in the sky, will be implemented. We do not know when 1.5% of the budget will eventually be allocated to the South African National Defence Force. It's all open-ended. We do not know how we are going to deal with the cost of employment and the long-term funding of the Defence Force as a force fit for purpose.